Hey everyone, I'm Jaden,
And I'm Noah.
and we are the Super Gamer Bros, and this is the Super Gamer Bros podcast. We're just a couple of brothers who love playing games and love talking about games, so that is what we do. And today, Noah, we are talking about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
The best pirate game there was before Sea of Thieves, and in my opinion, still after. I don't like Sea of Thieves. I
I
don't know
was
if
gonna
you've
say,
ever played
I was
it.
actually, I was actually gonna say before you added that caveat that it still is, that I was gonna say, no, I think it still is.
Yeah, it still is. I don't like Sea of Thieves, but Assassin's Creed Black Flag is also Assassin's Creed 4. As you know, it came out after, it followed I want to say right after Assassin's Creed 3, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. And so they went from the Revolutionary War period, the late 1700s, early 1800s, in the third game. And in the fourth game, you thought they were going to go forward like they did before, but no, we went backwards. So
Yeah,
we
it's
go,
actually the first time they went back in time.
yes, exactly. And we go back to the age of exploration, and you play as the grandfather of the
Yes,
character in Assassin's Creed 3, who is,
that is correct.
uh, Connor. And so this is Edward, who is Connor's grandfather. All right, so that's how they keep the, quote unquote Assassin's Creed timeline in check in this game. Um, so while that's the setup, the age of exploration, you're playing as an ancestor before the game that was previously released. The entire highlight of the game is that it was, basically a huge Assassin's Creed game that was also a fantastic pirate game. I mean, we'll talk about just how many things you can do in this game that I've never even experienced in another game, let alone another pirate game, you know.
Well, I feel like,
I,
maybe slight caveat you should add to that sentence is the fact that you've only really played one other pirate game.
well, I can't think of that many unless you're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean 2,
Um, you know what?
whichever
I
one we
would.
played on the PS2 back in the
Oh,
day.
oh, we played Outworld's End, which
Oh,
is
right.
actually a very fun movie tie-in game. I'd recommend that one
It is
to
fun.
anybody. It was a fun
Um,
one. No, actually, aside from that, which I would say kind of doesn't really count, just for the fact that it's not like an open world game like Sea of Thieves and Assassin's
right,
Creed 4. No, but I think there's like older like PC pirate games. But yeah, I mean, if we are
right.
talking like, hey, what is an open world pirate game? The only two I know of are Assassin's Creed and Sea of Thieves.
Absolutely. And in terms of the Assassin's Creed, they have like 15 Assassin's Creed games as of this recording in 2023.
Yeah, and that's with another one coming out in like a
Yep,
week and a
very
half.
excited for that. Jaden, Black Flag is, Assassin's Creed fans are really split into a few categories these days. One group of fans thinks that Black Flag was the best Assassin's Creed of all time.
Okay.
It's usually between Assassin's Creed 4 and Assassin's Creed 2 for the most part. But I personally think Assassin's Creed 4 is the best Assassin's Creed of all time.
Oh, I do have to agree with that actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about
It's
why that is.
yeah, I mean, yeah, we will. Oh yeah, I don't know, let's get into it. I feel like I have nothing to add to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, anyway, let's just get into it with the setting. So, as is the case with previous Assassin's Creed games, the story is divided into two intertwined halves, one set in the present day and the other in a historical setting. Although the present day story had previously established that an animus was required to view one's ancestors' memories, the ending of Assassin's Creed 3 reveals that Abstergo can now view a host's genetic memories simply by sequencing the host's DNA. As such, in the present, you play as an unseen, unseen person. It's first person actually. The present is, and the unseen player character is hired by Abstergo Entertainment to investigate a pivotal character in Desmond Miles' ancestry, Edward Kenway, a notorious pirate and privateer operating during the golden age of piracy. Kenway's story is set in the Caribbean, in islands such as Cuba and Jamaica, a number of smaller Caribbean islands, and even as part of the story, you actually go as far as Florida and even Mexico.
Wow.
Wow. I don't necessarily have a big section dedicated to the present day because it is very small in this game. I think this is probably the
It
smallest
kind of sucks.
present day experience. I mean, it gets smaller and smaller from here uh, with the games I've played,
Just
but
take it out.
after. But I just want to talk about the very cool setup of the fact that Abstergo, the Templar Corporation, started a video game company called Abstergo Entertainment, basically acting as, you could say, like almost an Ubisoft self-insert into the story.
It does get super meta.
Abstergo Entertainment, this gaming company that makes, basically makes Assassin's Creed games. And although of course you never see what their like polished, finished games look like. Actually, that's not true. I guess in Unity you do. But we'll talk about that later. But in this game, you don't, and uh, not seeing what the finished product would look like. I assume being of Stergo, they kind of twist it so it's in more of a like Templar favored view.
That's a good point.
Yes, but you're basically a researcher who is using an animus to go through memories and experiences of Edward Kenway to research for the game they are making about Edward Kenway.
Yes. And the cool part about that is when you are looking at the options, it shows they created a bunch of different images and setups of other quote unquote Assassins games in this universe. And they were some of the most requested ones in real life for them to do, like
Oh, that is true.
China,
Yeah. Yeah.
like Assassin's Creed China. And I don't mean Assassin's Creed Chronicles China, because if anybody ever brings that game up to me again, I might kill them.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. No, I tried completing Assassin's Creed Chronicles China like after we talked about it, and it's probably the first game, and
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even remember how long that I legitimately just rage quit and never played again.
Yeah, I played through all three, and they get harder every single game.
Yeah, I am like I didn't even finish the actual story of the game. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah,
But it's a really cool little Easter egg thing they put in there. It was like, hey, we hear you guys, the fans, you want all these games. Well, we're
yeah,
we're gonna do what we want instead.
yeah. It's a nice, Easter egg. Hey, we appreciate you guys, but also stay in your lane. This is our stuff. It's fun.
This is a quick side note, but Ubisoft does a lot of stuff like that with their games. Like the Far Cry series a few years ago, before Far Cry 6, they had they were kept posting surveys online about like crazy setups for the next Far Cry game. Like, what do you want to see? And it would be like zombies, vampires, space, all kinds of different things. It was really funny.
That is funny. What a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, then they just did another regular Far Cry, but with young Carlo Esposito.
Well, didn't they have well they had DLC, didn't they? Didn't
Yeah, the DLC wasn't good though.
oh,
And
I'm
the
sorry.
DLC was just playing through like this weird psychedelic game mode as the old bosses. You played as
Uh,
Boss, Pig and Min, and the stupid one from the fifth game.
Oh, Joseph Seed, I think.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed for you for knowing that.
It's the most recent Far Cry game I've played through. Um anyway, that's not
I
important.
can't even remember the name of Giancarlo Esposito's character, and he's talked about so much.
That's I can't either, actually, as I sit here trying to think about it.
Anyway, you can go into the story, but I know it was his last name. Like they just called him by a last name, but I can't
Like
remember.
was I don't know. I feel like Castillo maybe.
Castillo is a good one. I'm
But
about
that's
to look
probably
at.
not it. That's probably not it. Anyway, geez, what happened? Assassin's Creed 4. I'm just going to get into the story, and we are not going to talk about Far Cry anymore, because that's not what this episode's about. In 2013, months after Desmond Miles' sacrifice in Assassin's Creed 3, samples taken from Desmond's body allow Abstergo Industries to continue exploring his genetic memories with the Animus's newfound cloud computing abilities. The unnamed player character is hired by Abstergo Entertainment, a subsidiary of Abstergo, to examine the memory of Desmond's ancestor, Edward Kenway, a famous 18th century pirate. Ostensibly, this is to gather material for an animus-powered interactive feature film. Oh, not a video game. Oh boy, I have egg on my face. In
It's
reality,
super confusing.
Abstergo, the Templars of the present time, are searching for a first civilization structure known as the Observatory in Edward's memories. As Edward, the player unravels a conspiracy between high-ranking Templars within the British and Spanish Empire. Under the guise of cleaning up piracy in the Caribbean, they have used their positions to locate the sage, later identified as Bartholomew Roberts, the only man that can lead them to the observatory. It can monitor anyone, anywhere in the world when provided a blood sample, which they intend to use to spy on and blackmail world leaders. Seeing an opportunity for profit, Edward inadvertently becomes involved when he kills a rogue assassin, Duncan Walpole. Seeing an opportunity for profit, Edward takes Walpole's place at the meeting of Templars in Havana and meets Woodes Rogers and Cuban governor and Templar Grand Master Laureano Torres. His recklessness endangers the assassin brotherhood, prompting him to pursue the sage and the conspirators from the Yucatan Peninsula to Jamaica, eventually catching Roberts on the island of Principe off of the West African coast. Meanwhile, a band of notorious pirates, including Blackbeard, Benjamin Hornigold, Mary Read, under the alias James Kidd, and Charles Vane, dream of a pirate utopia where man is free to live beyond the reach of rulers. With Edward's help, they seize control of Nassau, I'm going to say Nassau from now on, and establish a pirate republic. However, poor governance, the lack of an economy, and an outbreak of disease bring the republic close to collapse, with the founders divided. Edward attempts to resolve the dispute, but is too late to stop the Templars from exploiting the situation, resulting in Blackbeard being killed by the British following his retirement, Hornigold joining the Templars, and Vane going insane after Jack Rackham's mutiny. Eventually, Edward and Roberts uncover the location of the observatory and retrieve the artifact powering it. Roberts betrays Edward, and the British arrest him. He is imprisoned but escapes when Atabai, the assassin mentor, infiltrates the prison to rescue Mary Read and Anne Bonny. Mary soon dies in the aftermath of childbirth, and a disheartened Edward decides to join the Brotherhood, chasing down and eliminating Roberts and the Templar conspirators. Edward retrieves the artifact and returns it to the observatory, sealing it away. He receives a letter informing him of the passing of his wife and the imminent arrival of his hitherto unknown daughter, Jennifer Scott. Edward returns to England, promising Atabai that he will continue fighting the Templars. Years later, Edward attends the Beggar's Opera at the Royal Opera House with Jennifer and his son, Haytham. Haytham Kenway from Assassin's Creed 3. What?
His son, the Templar.
His son will become Templar. He's not a Templar when he's a little boy. In the present, John Standish, Abstergo Entertainment's information technology manager, persuades the player to investigate what their employees are trying to hide from them. Under John's guidance, they hack several Animus terminals and deliver the information to Sean Hastings and Rebecca Crane. Undercover assassin.
Oh, we know them.
Whoa, we know them. Undercover assassins who have infiltrated Abstergo. When the facility is locked down after the hacks are discovered, John instructs the player to access the Animus core, at which point Juno materializes into an incorporeal form. She reveals that the world is not ready for her yet, and that she is unable to possess the player as her agents intended. John is revealed as the reincarnated sage, and attempts to murder the player to cover up Juno's failed resurrection, but is killed by Abstergo's security, implicating him as responsible for the hacks. During his time as Roberts, the sage admits to Edward that he owes no allegiance to the Assassins or the Templars, and instead uses whoever represents his best chance of achieving his ends. It,
Oh,
it- uh,
okay,
uh,
yeah.
with the sage dead, the player is contacted by the Assassins, but neither side is able to explain the sage's presence or identify his followers, the instruments of the first will. And that's it.
Pretty cookie cutter as Assassin's Creed stories go, I'd say. You start out
Honestly, yeah.
as somebody who gets caught up in this inciting incident where
Well, I mean,
usually
I
an
would say, I mean,
assassin's involved and you might kill them.
I would say the beginning is different actually, because at least on Edward's side, because you don't play as
Desmond?
an assassin. Well, not just an assassin.
Oh,
Like Edward,
but when you
pretty
start
much for the first
everything, they're
night.
not assassins. Like Ezio started out as a boy. He,
Well, I mean, I get you are correct with
Connor,
Connor. You were correct with Connor, Ezio. I mean, Altair was, but also, I mean, Ezio's family were assassins. He was always going to be an assassin.
yeah, that's true.
Connor, his I guess he did
He's
kind
in
of
the
join the
lineage.
assassins on his own, but also Connor had noble intentions. Even after Edward, you could say the same thing about several others. But Edward was straight up just a pirate. He just wanted to get rich, and he he straight up just killed an assassin and took his clothes, and then was very much like, no, I don't care about the assassins and Templars. Like, I don't care about that. I just want money. Like that is up until I would say what 80-90% through the game, he is very much not an assassin. And then he kind of just joins them because he's like, yeah, fine, whatever, I'll do it. Like I feel like he
That's
does it more to
exactly how I
honor,
feel about it.
like he does it more. I feel like to honor Mary than the noble deeds of the assassin order.
Mary, Queen of Scots.
No, her name was in the plot description. I don't know what you want from me.
I thought it was a joke. Anywho,
Anywho, yeah, I mean, I thought that part was pretty unique because this was the first Assassin's Creed game where you did not play as an assassin, really. Like he was not an assassin.
yes.
Because I mean, even literally at one point, I don't know exactly when it was in the story, you find the assassin's hideout, like in the Caribbean, and Mary is there, although I think she's still disguised as James Kidd at this point, and is like, hey, like this guy's good. He should join the assassins. And like her assassin mentor says, no, I don't. He's like kind of an asshole. I don't think he should join the assassins. And Edward is like, hey, I don't even want to join the assassins. Like I don't like. Why am I here?
Very
Yeah,
weird. He
yeah,
is a reluctant protagonist, which,
yeah.
not my favorite kind.
I
I
think it
don't
can
really
be.
love it can be good,
Yeah,
but
I think.
I like a character who's down for what we're doing.
I don't know. I like Edward. I think he's just got natural charisma.
Oh, he does. Hell of a singing voice.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure you have a thing for that in here somewhere.
Not as big as I wanted, but I
Nope.
feel like we can make up for it by talking.
A trend they started doing around this time in Assassin's Creed was playing around with the idea that the Templars aren't so different from the Assassins. You know, Connor's dad, Edward Kenway's son, was a Templar. And
And you
following
do, you
this
do. I mean, you
game,
you play as him in
you
AC3.
do
Like
play
you
as
start the
him.
game
You
as him.
play as a Templar. And then in Assassin's Creed Rogue, which came out after Black Flag, you play as a Templar again. So at in the present, in 2023, I really feel like Assassins and Templars are mostly the same thing. Like they both are groups of militant people who want the pieces of Eden and will stop at almost nothing to get them. Like the Assassins and Templars have both committed horrible atrocities in the name of good. And we play as both, so I feel like it's becoming more gray.
I mean, I agree that
But
they're
there
not
have
so
been
different
good
because they
Templars and there
both.
have been bad assassins.
I mean, you're correct. I feel like if we want to get down to the philosophy here, I think they both want, world peace, but they just differ on how that peace is achieved. The Templars believe that the only way peace can be achieved is if you control the people because they cannot do anything for
Right.
themselves. People are stupid, the general masses are stupid, they can't handle anything. They need someone powerful people to think for them. And the assassins are more like, nah, people need to be free. Like it's not peace if you're being controlled. And whichever one you agree with is fine by me. I don't really care. But I guess my only issue with the story here is kind of the same issue I have with most Assassin's Creed games, which is still leaves you with so many questions. Like honestly, I want this series to end soon because it's one of those annoying things where
How dare you?
it's one of those annoying things where like, oh, Ubisoft, the developers, they know how this game's going to end. They know that. But boy, they're taking their sweet ass time getting there.
Well, Jaden, you
Um,
know why?
money.
Assassin's Creed is Ubisoft's only successful project left.
Well, what about Far Cry?
It's not, it doesn't sell.
Oh, are you sure?
Yes.
Huh.
But I was going to say, Jaden, this Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out October 29th, 2013. Okay.
Yep.
That is almost a year ago, or 10 years ago, a decade.
It's almost a year ago.
If you told me in 2013 when this game came out that a decade later we would be going back to the beginning, I would not have believed you.
Okay. Now,
That's the
I got
story.
nothing. Yeah, that is the story. And some extra talk that may or may not get edited out.
I mean, we know a lot about Assassin's Creed.
Feel like we know. I feel like we do know a decent amount.
I mean,
Noah,
we have literally played since the first game.
Noah, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Sorry, I couldn't see you. Noah, why don't you get us into the gameplay by telling us about the combat?
Gameplay. Jaden, this is classic Assassin's Creed combat. Um, classic Assassin's Creed combat means you have slight weapon choice, but usually they're set up on to fit certain slots. Like you have a one-handed weapon like a sword, a mace, or anything that's kind of similar that can fit all the same killing animations. We'll get to the weapons and stuff in this game maybe a little bit later. I don't really know what Jaden's got on this document.
I didn't leave a document for it. They're kind of to me.
Okay,
I feel like
it's pretty
I
basic.
I
You've
honestly
got
feel like when you talk about classic Assassin's Creed, the weapons are more cosmetic than anything else.
very true, very true. They don't have a gameplay effect. In
Um,
Origins and after they do, but
well, with the exception of, I guess, were you gonna list some of the weapons?
yeah.
Go
Well, I
go
was
ahead and
going
do
to
that.
talk about the fact that Assassin's Creed 3, Connor had a unique feature of dual wielding. I'm pretty sure that's the first time there was dual wielding in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, with like the
And
tomahawk and hidden blade.
Tomahawk and yeah, it is in Blade. It might have been just a knife. Um, anyway, in this game, they continued that trend and they gave Edward Kenway signature dual scimitars, which are,
Cutlasses. What?
it's not a scimitar?
No, it's a cutlass. That's the pirate sword.
I thought a scimitar was a pirate sword.
Well, scimitars. You might be able to get
Eh,
scimitars
South
as your weapon,
Asian,
but
Middle
typically, like he
Eastern.
starts
Yeah,
out
you're
with just
right.
cutlasses. It's
No,
like
a cutlass
cutlasses.
is what I was picturing. I guess I didn't know this was a scimitar. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe because again, you have different weapons that do more or less damage, but also again,
I
it's all.
don't
I
know
mean,
if they really
might as
do
well just
different
be
damage.
cosmetic.
It's instant kills, yeah.
No,
Um,
they do for like when you're not doing
right,
in
right, right. You're
instant
definitely right
kills.
about that.
Um, it's like I he might. I mean, scimitars might be a pair he can get, but he starts with cutlasses.
So anyway, yeah, he starts with signature dual cutlasses. And that's really cool. I mean, he's one of the coolest pirates I've ever seen. That's very pirate of this game. And he
Yep.
starts with them. So, it's super
Yeah.
fun. The
Yeah. And
combat,
he.
as I said, sorry, did you
I
want
was
to
gonna
say
say. He also
something?
gets. One. talk about, I guess, the weapons that do actually are different in terms of gameplay compared to his standard melee weapon. You've also got the like he has a rope dart and the poison darts and stuff. That's standard Assassin's Creed stuff.
Assassin's
He
Creed.
also this is actually for the first time, despite the fact this game takes place before AC3 and timeline in like history, guns are much more prevalent in this game. Kenway dual wields. He starts out with two, but you can actually get it eventually up to four pistols that he just pulls out and shoots people with, which is a very,
Badass.
very fun thing to do.
I have never seen that in another game, not even another Assassin's Creed game. And it's just something that was so cool and it should be continued. I mean,
And I mean, again, very
pull a Reaper
piratey.
and just drop the guns, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Um. Anyway,
that's a good point, Jaden. The pistols, and the prevalence of guns in this game.
and then the as you said, the combat is the same AC combat where you have your counter, your kill, your grab, or like your attack, your grab,
Yes.
very standard.
Yep. We all know
Yeah.
what to do. You don't attack. You wait for somebody to attack, counter them, kill them, and then you have that kill streak thing where you can just point at somebody and press square and instant kill everybody as you tear through a whole group of people.
Yeah, I feel like Assassin's Creed 4 was the epitome of that. Like, I
Got
don't know,
it.
I feel like that's when I did it more than any other Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, people, like our friend Kyle, he does not like Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla because he hates the combat and the
Oh,
style of gameplay.
well, see, that's funny. Earlier, when you said there are like three different types of Assassin's Creed fans, I thought you were gonna say, well, one, I always myself thought there were two, which is the
Nope, there's
people who
three.
prefer the old style and the people who prefer the new style.
There's people who prefer the new style, there's people who prefer the old style, and then the old style splits into two. It splits into Black Flag and AC2.
Oh no! Oh
Yeah,
my
because
God!
people like Kyle doesn't, he
No,
hates
hold
Black
on.
Flag.
I just spilled water all over myself.
Oh my God.
Hold on. What were you saying about Kyle?
Kyle hates Black Flag.
That's
He
insanity.
thinks he thinks it's
That's
a fine pirate game, but it was a bad Assassin's Creed game.
See, I've heard that before, and with all respect to Kyle, love that guy. He's stupid.
Yes.
I think it
Well, I
is.
mean, I just try to be positive about
Here's the
Assassin's
thing. I
Creed in
think,
general because I wanted
well,
to continue.
I think it's bad in the terms of the same reason that you could argue any of those older Assassin's Creed games past two are bad, in the fact that it does not change the combat really.
No,
The
there's
combat
no
for Assassin's Creed,
alterations.
yeah, like the
Alterations.
combat from AC2 to AC Rogue is one of the most unchanging combat systems I've seen in games, probably up there with like Call of Duty, where I mean again, it's like I said with you having the two cutlasses versus Connor with his dual wielding tomahawk and hidden blade or knife or whatever versus Ezio and anything he uses is I mean it's basically just cosmetic. The combat is the exact same no matter what you're using. And I would argue even that Assassin's Creed 2 and the Ezio trilogy goes a bit further than 3 and 4 because they have like the heavy weapons and the long weapons. I mean, maybe that's an option in 3 and 4. I honestly can't remember because if it is, I never used it, but I feel like it isn't even an option.
I don't
There's
think so.
there is like I know for 3 because it is actually the most recent Assassin's Creed game I've played. I think it was just last year. I actually finally played it for the first time. I think he gets like blunt weapons versus swords. But again, all that means is instead of like a slicing sound when you hit someone, you get a, smashing sound. Anyway, but that being
I
said,
mean,
I still think it's good. I like
that
it.
combat was
Like,
always fun.
yeah, it's fun.
And
I
it's nice
absolutely
to
enjoy it.
feel
I have
like a
no complaints
god.
about it.
It's just after playing games like Sekiro, I want a little bit more of a challenge.
I can understand that. Noah, screw this AC combat here, Noah. Tell us about naval combat.
Jaden, we are pirates.
You are goddamn pirate, baby.
That's right. And pirates own the sea, do they not? They do.
Yes?
And in this
Okay.
game, you spend a large majority of the game on the sea in your boat, your ship.
I feel like boat is a little
You are the
disrespectful.
shut up. You are the captain of your own gosh darn pirate ship, baby. The Jackdaw is a sizable ship that can be easily reached from any location on land. The Jackdaw is equipped with a variety of weapons to decimate your foes, from broadside and front cannons to swivel guns, mortars, fire barrels, and a ram. You can upgrade weapons and your hull to become the fiercest ship in the Caribbean. When going up against other ships, you deplete their health to disable them, and then you can shoot them down or board them and take the ship over. You can recruit the crew, sink the ship, or add it to Edward's very own fleet. The ship combat is what makes this game, and Ubisoft is still, a decade later, trying to make a game based off of this ship combat.
It's never coming out.
No, that game is never coming out.
Yeah. Um, ah, I mean, what can you say? It's awesome. The ship combat in this game is incredible. You know, it was introduced in Assassin's Creed 3 with the Aquila, as the ship is called. And if I remember correctly, it was like that the naval part of Assassin's Creed 3 was so popular among fans, that's why they decided to make Assassin's Creed 4 a pirate game.
That was the rumor.
That is the rumor. I do not know if there is actual truth behind it. But they, having gone back and played the Assassin's Creed 3 ship combat recently, they absolutely improved upon it so much to, I mean, I can't tell you a flaw with it. I legitimately think it is perfect. It is like all the different weapons you can use, the different sizes of the other ships. You know, you have smaller, like basically gunboats, all the way up to huge man o' wars, which are, you know, just giant ships loaded with cannons. And you know, frigates. I mean, that all the different classes of ships is really cool. I mean, just it's just awesome. It is one of legitimately my favorite experiences in any game I've ever played. Is just sailing around and attacking ships, and then once you disable them, you can board them, and then do whatever you have to do to take the ship over. It's awesome. Noah?
The ship combat gives you the full pirate fantasy you're looking for in this game. Not only can you fight, not only is it ship combat, but there are a lot of other things you can do on the ocean in general that give you that pirate fantasy in this game. And I don't know, the fact that when you are taking down other ships and stealing from them or, boarding them and recruiting them, whatever, it's all building towards something in the game, whether it be your fleet or your crew that you can send on those, uh, you know, those missions that happen over time where you send people to places. Always stupid. I never really use those.
We'll talk
But
about that later.
yeah, but everything gives you something that's useful in this game, whether it be a ship upgrade, a cosmetic, or whatever, which made it easier to motivate to do the side stuff. And a lot of the side stuff is fun anyway. But I did like what you were saying, Jaden, about the use of different weapons and being able to board. There is not something I could come up with that I would like to do as a pirate that you can't do in this game. So why don't you talk about traversal?
Traversal. So, Black Flag is an open world adventure game, action adventure game. The game features three main cities, Havana, Kingston, and Nassau, which reside under Spanish, British, and pirate influence, respectively, because you do deal with both British ships, British soldiers, and Spanish in this map, in this area. In addition, locations like Port-au-Prince and Greater Inagua are used as main story points. This game features 50 other individual locations to explore, including atolls, sea forts, Mayan ruins, sugar plantations, underwater shipwreck. There's a lot. With, as it's listed here on Wikipedia, a 60-40 balance between land and naval exploration, which honestly I found that number surprising. I feel like a lot more time, I guess at least a lot more of my
Probably
time
the
was
other
spent
way.
at sea than on land. Yeah. So the game was designed to be more open than previous Assassin's Creed titles, with a map of a large section of Caribbean from where smaller individual locations may be accessed. So yeah, it is one gigantic map, all sea with islands that you can explore. You will encounter a variety of I don't know, locations from jungles, forts, ruins, small villages,
Environments.
environments. That's a good one. And as I said, you can explore all of that in seamless fashion. There are, I think, very impressive for the size of the game and yeah, just how much stuff is in it. There are basically no loading screens when you are just sailing on the open sea and going to different islands. It's wildly impressive. So when you're on land, it's an Assassin's Creed game again, much like the combat between from Assassin's Creed 2 to Assassin's Creed Rogue. The parkour of the game was not really changed at all. The only changes being additional structures you can climb, like in Assassin's Creed 3, being able to climb trees was a new thing. And different kind of environmental interactions you have. Assassin's Creed 4 did not add anything to that, but you have your running, your parkouring, your climbing. It's still Assassin's Creed. It's still fun. But I will say it is a lot. I feel like it is a lot less in this game compared to the previous games because of the fact that you do spend most of your time on the Jackdaw. So the Jackdaw Edward ship has 3 different speeds that allow you to move faster at the cost of maneuverability. I think the speed slash maneuverability balance in this game is very, very well done. It also very
It can
much
also
helps that you
change
can,
very quickly.
yeah, I was going to say it very much helps that you could basically instantaneously change. So going from moving faster to, oh, I need more maneuverability here, slow down is instantaneous. There's no like, oh, great, it's going to take 10 seconds for me to change my speed and slow down to the point where I can maneuver around these rocks or whatever. It's very good.
Not RAM, yeah.
Um, yeah, like I mean, for there are a lot of actual stealth sections on the ship, which sounds very weird. Being stealthy on a giant goddamn boat, but it works rather well. I think I actually had very small issues with being stealthy in the Jackdaw, and also weather is a big factor in this game. It rains, it storms, and when you're on the high seas, that changes a lot. You got to deal with much larger waves, for example, including the kind of, I feel like it's literally just called like the big waves or huge waves, um, that are these giant waves that legitimately will damage your ship if you are not facing it head on. So you have to, if you are, say, fighting in a storm or just, existing in a storm, and you have to check on your minimap for a big wave. And when it appears, you better turn your ship to face in that direction or you're going to take a whole bunch of damage, which, is bad because you cannot really just fix your ship on the fly. You do, if your ship takes damage, you have to go and port it so that it can be fixed. And again, I love it. I spent a large majority of my time in this game just sailing the seas, and it's just such a fun experience.
It is a fun experience, but there are also a lot of additional gameplay mechanics that are also fun. I said also twice in that sentence. For instance, Jaden, hunting and crafting make a return. Returning from Assassin's Creed 3, you can hunt many wild animals scattered throughout several locations in AC4. Killing these animals allows you to skin them for resources used to craft outfits and pouches, allowing you to carry more items than the ammunition. So again, there's a purpose to hunting. They do this in Far Cry 2, and I like this because it gives you a reason to hunt other than like a game like, for instance, Red Dead. When you hunt, you have that stuff as consumables or you can sell it, but it's not incredibly useful.
Yeah, I think I've played 3 different game series where you have to hunt to craft. That is, and 2 of them are Ubisoft, Far Cry, and Assassin's Creed, and then Horizon. The Horizon series has that same concept. I feel like
Yep,
Assassin's Creed is by far the least annoying of the 3. I still think it's
exactly.
annoying, admittedly. I wish there was an easier way to get the supplies for the upgrade, like especially like the pouch upgrades because they let you carry more stuff. Very useful, in my opinion, to be able to carry more stuff. Assassin's Creed is the only one where you can on the map it'll tell you where animals spawn. I feel like it's the only one where animals spawn frequently enough that I don't have to dedicate a lot of time to hunting. Like when I played Far Cry 5, I was trying to get a trophy where like of completing all the hunting challenges, which is, just kill an animal a certain number of times is how you complete the challenge. Not even kill, you have to like skin it specifically. And like I was looking up online for spawn locations for animals because it's on the map, but I probably played for 90 minutes at one point, and of the like four different animals I needed to kill, I could not get a single one. Like I could not find a single one of any of them. I traveled to where they were supposedly found. I looked online to see if there's any way to make them spawn. Nothing. It was legitimately one of the worst experiences I've had playing games was when I spent like 90 minutes just hunting animals in Far Cry 5.
Yeah, that happened to me in Far
Um,
Cry Primal.
yes. Horizon I don't like because there's too many animals, I think,
Too grindy.
and it's just too grindy. Again, like it's hard to find them. It's just annoying. Assassin's Creed is the only one where I feel like if I go to where it says an animal will be on a map, within 10 minutes I will find that animal and kill it. It's not even like within 10 minutes I'll find one. I'll find the amount I need to get all the stuff I need for crafting. And that's even like there's rare animals, like rare don't spawn a lot animals in AC4 that I did not have any troubles finding. Yeah, I think AC4 does it best.
All right, aside from hunting, we have another type of
Oh,
hunting.
yeah, let me tell you something I do like is whaling. You can hunt whales and sharks using harpoons on a lifeboat. Basically, how it goes, you're on the lifeboat, you have to hook to the animal, and then it begins dragging your boat through the water. And then, as it's dragging you, you just have to keep hitting it with harpoons to take its health down. Eventually, it will break the line, and then it attacks you, and you have to harpoon it before it hits you. Otherwise, it will damage your boat, and your boat can actually break. You can also run out of harpoons. Luckily, I never had to deal with that. So, like hunting, the like skins you get from whales and stuff is used for crafting, and it's used for crafting, and you can upgrade the boat and harpoons to both have more, health and do more damage. I loved whaling, actually. I thought it was incredibly fun. I don't know why, because it is a very simple concept, but I greatly enjoyed it. I would stop and do it and any opportunity.
Oh yeah,
Noah?
whaling is always a good time. It was just so interesting. I mean, I've never played another game where you could whale.
Yeah. No, like it's something that I had no idea existed before playing this game, and like I don't know if they never talked about it in trailers or anything like that. I just had no idea it existed,
Right.
and I remember like just stumbling upon a whaling spot or like a whale, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, okay, I'll hunt this whale. I guess that's something that exists in this game, and
Made
just
me feel
being
bad.
so like yeah, and nah, it was great. It's such a fun experience. I love it. It's great.
Speaking of fun experiences, on top of ship combat, Jaden, and the different classes you mentioned, and the different difficulties and different weapons that make this game such a detailed ship combat game, we also have legendary ships. Four legendary naval vessels can be found around the map. These ships pack a huge punch and have immense defense and health. So you need your ship to be at its best to take these guys on. And when you do, it is so satisfying. These fights are some of my favorite experiences in the whole game.
Yeah, it really, especially as your ship gets, more and more upgraded and stronger. I mean, the ship combat in this game is actually quite strategic. One of the things that I enjoy about it with, placing yourself so you don't get hit or you take the minimum amount of damage as possible versus, I mean, it especially is prevalent when you face a bigger, stronger ship that can knock you out very quickly, like the Mana Wars. When you first encounter them, they will wreck your shit if you are not careful. And so yeah, you have to be very strategic. And the legendary ships, even when you have your best upgrades, when you have everything upgraded to max, they will still wreck your shit if you are not careful. So yeah, I mean it's just a fun, difficult fight. That's all I want.
All right, so why don't you talk about shipwrecks?
Yeah, sure. Underwater shipwreck. So Edward, at some point in the story, obtains a diving bell, which allows him to explore shipwrecks underwater for collectibles. I believe you do like one for the story, but the rest are optional. Um, so this is underwater sections. You're actually swimming through the shipwreck. You do like Edward can hold his breath for a long time, but if you're running low, you just go back to the diving bell and he like kind of gets in it and just refills his breath. So I mean, you basically can't explore these forever. Um, I also really enjoyed these. I think the swimming underwater actually controls very well for underwater like sections in games. People hate them. I think in this game it's actually pretty controllable, pretty easy. And it's just a fun little side thing. It's cool getting to explore underwater in this game. I feel like Noah said, anything that you can think of in terms of like piratey stuff exists in this game, and one of those is I feel like exploring underwater shipwrecks.
It is really cool. It's also scary.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, being underwater so deep.
Hmm.
There are also forts, Jaden.
Forts, Noah.
Similar to enemy bases in previous Assassin's Creed games, but with the twist. You attack from the water. You must use your ship to disable the fort's defenses before docking and storming the fort to complete a series of tasks to take it over. And this is very fun.
Dude, I love forts.
Yeah, and they
Again,
can shoot you
it's
so far away.
oh yeah, I mean it's basically a mixture of the sea and land combat. Where you start at the sea, you have to disable the fort's defenses, destroy their cannons before they can destroy your boat. And like Noah said, they shoot far, and again, especially the stronger forts, can deal a lot of damage very quickly if you're not careful. I think it's easier than like taking on forts. I think is easier than taking on big, bigger like ships because it's stationary because it's a fort, but they are incredibly fun to take on. And then you dock and you storm it, and that's classic Assassin's Creed. Take over the base. Oh, kill the fort's captain and cut down the flag, or just kind of a few little tasks
Sabotage
you have to
things.
do. Yeah, to take it over. Incredibly fun.
Naval contracts?
Naval contracts, Noah. These are small jackdaw-based missions that range from protecting allied ships to sinking enemy ships. So I think there's 15 in the game. Basically, one reason that you want to capture all the forts, other than just capturing them, is you unlock the is each fort contains someone or someone's who has naval contracts for you to fulfill. You can kind of consider them like the assassination contracts, which also exist in this game, where you go kill a person. But this was also actually a thing in Assassin's Creed 3, although I think much more fun than Assassin's Creed 3. Um, where yeah, I mean it's basically what I said. You say have to protect an ally ship from waves of enemies, or it's just like, hey, take down these three ships, or take down this specific ship. Take down these three ships, but it's in a storm. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Basically, it's just more ship combat, and I will never complain about more ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4.
All right, so there's also crew members. We've kind of mentioned this earlier a little bit, but crew members can be recruited by boarding and capturing enemy ships, as well as freeing them on land. It replaces the assassins from the previous games, and it's not even as useful as they were.
No, it's basically just when you're attacking other ships, that's the only point where they actually kind of matter. They can die, and you can lose crew and you have to refill it. I never reached a point where I was really low on crew, so I honestly cannot comment on what happens if that happens.
Yeah, I captured a lot of people.
But yeah, they got rid of the assassins, where you could call them to help attack or like plan an assassination or even just rain down arrows in previous Assassin's Creed games because, as I read, they felt like that made the game too easy, especially in like kind of situations that are meant to be high stress. It's like, oh, you can just call your assassins and they'll kill some people for you. They felt like Ubisoft felt like that took away from the challenge of the game a bit too much, so they basically got rid of it, and this is the closest thing that there is. Anyway, let me talk about Edward's fleet. So, similar to the recruit missions in Assassin's Creed 3, when you capture a ship, or although I think in Assassin's Creed 3 they're actually called liberation missions, where you send your assassin recruits to different colonies to basically take out Templars. This is a similar concept where you capture a ship. When you capture a ship, you can add it to Edward's fleet, in which it can be used to deliver goods far away to get money and resources. The trade routes can be dangerous, but you can use the ships in your fleet to make them safer. Yeah, there's actually like a safety meter, and when it's not safe enough, you actually can engage in combat with enemy fleets, and you pick from your fleet. It's like up to three ships, and they fight, and whichever one last standing. Yeah, and then you send ships on these routes. It takes real time for the goods to be delivered. So again, like the liberation missions in Assassin's Creed 3, it's like, oh, this, which is actually cool because the time it takes and the amount of goods that can be held depend on the type of ships. A frigate is faster than a man of war if you have both of those in your fleet. So a frigate will deliver goods significantly faster, but maybe it, but it can't hold as much, which means maybe like, oh, on this, you can't send a frigate on this route. You need a man of war because it's too much stuff, and a man of war is slower. But also, maybe a man of war is the only ship you have at your disposal at the moment because all your other ships are delivering. So it's like, damn it, it adds like 15 minutes to this route to send a man of war, but I want to send something, so I'm sending this. And you do actually kind of have to do this if you want to upgrade the Jackdaw, because a lot of the elite upgrades, several of them are actually unlocked by completing certain trades. So there is like a progression to this. And yeah, it takes real time. It's like, hey, this trade will be completed in 45 minutes. I don't think you actually have to have the game playing that entire time. I think it works even if the game is not, even if you're not currently playing the game. Don't quote me on that. But Noah, I love this feature. I absolutely loved it. I played this game before Assassin's Creed 3, so this was my first experience with it. I loved it. I would spend like, I mean, it was basically like anytime I would turn on Assassin's Creed 4 to play it, I would spend the first like 45 minutes that I'm playing just in this menu, freeing up trade routes and sending all of my ships out on trades.
That's
I just loved
insane.
it. I loved the like guy just strategic setting out your boats. I fucking loved it, man. It is such a fun feature.
Yeah, I did
Uh,
not mess with this at all. It's just those going through menus and you're not actually doing it. I don't get into those so much.
yeah, no, I absolutely like earlier you mentioned it and you mentioned it not being fun, and I was like, oh boy, he's in for a rude surprise later because I think it's absolutely incredible. I love it. Um, oh, Abstergo missions. I'll talk about those. So these are similar to the clubs of Assassin's Creed 3. We talked about them where like there's the Hunters Lodge or club, there's like the Thieves Club, there's the whatever club. And for each of those clubs, you had like 3 levels of missions you had to do. This is kind of similar where you have different categories and then different levels of missions you can complete. And completing them in this game gains access to cheats such as invincibility, vulnerability if you want to make the game harder, and extra things like making Edward talk like a pirate. In Assassin's Creed 3, you had to do them for trophies. In Assassin's Creed 4, you don't. Well, you have to do 25, but if you're just playing the game through normally, you'll end up just getting 25 by doing things. I don't know how to say how I feel about these. They're fine. When I played through the game, I did actually try to get as many of these as possible. I don't know why. I just enjoyed doing it. But there is, again, except for the 25 for trophies, there's kind of no purpose because even cheats disable saving and trophies. So if you're going for trophies, which I feel like is the only reason you would try to get some of these, you can't, like, it's not even something you can actually use.
Making Edward talk like a pirate, was that in cutscenes or just gameplay?
I don't know. It didn't say. I assume gameplay, probably.
Hmm.
Now, I'll be honest, you have me curious now and I want to look it up. Anyway,
In Abstergo, you can hack the computers of other employees to unlock informational collectibles about the assassins and Templars.
this
There,
is present day stuff, by the way.
this is present day stuff. There are two types of puzzles. In one, you maneuver through a maze-like sphere, and the other, you have to time left movements around moving barriers.
Well, actually, you're moving
What?
right, not left. That's a mistake.
Oh,
Like I typed that out. That was just a mistake. Yeah.
but they're just little mini hacking
Yeah, they're
games.
mini games.
Nothing we haven't seen online or on some kind of game site you play during class, you know what I mean? Like they're
Uh-huh.
just simple games. I really like when games implement these type of mini games as activities instead of like when there's a lockpick mini game instead of just sitting there while a bar fills up. It just
Yes.
makes it more enjoyable, more interactive. Again, though, I don't really care for the modern day stuff, so I did a few of these because I thought the information about the assassins was cool and it had a couple really cool assassins. But I did not really spend a lot of time in Abstergo going around and hacking things and looking for information unless you had to, which you do for the story mode.
Again, I absolutely loved these. The sphere mazes, I don't know if there's a word for what that is. I actually really enjoyed those. Anytime I was brought to the past or the present, I would explore as much as the game would let me to get as
Right.
many computers as possible. And I didn't even look at the information stuff because there's like a lot to read, or sometimes there are like audio logs you can listen to, but they take minutes and minutes and minutes. They're very long.
If you make
Um,
a game with audio logs, make them playable in the background while you move along. I don't like
that
the
is
ones where you
correct.
have to be in a menu listening to it, or the ones where it, oh, what's it called? Based on how far away you are from the source of the
Proximity.
sound. Proximity, thank
Yeah,
you.
completely agree with that statement. I've always said I really like lore collectibles, which these I guess technically are, but I think Assassin's Creed is the game that goes super, super overboard because these like documents and stuff you can read are pages and pages, and it's cool, but I don't want to sit here reading it and or listening. I want to play the game and go do pirate stuff. But the actual mini games themselves, I've really enjoyed. I thought they were very fun.
I'm learning a lot
Speaking of
about you
things
here.
I did not do, Noah, talk about multiplayer.
Oh, dang, Jaden. I don't know if I played multiplayer in this one, but in Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed multiplayer returns for the last time. No, I don't think that's true, actually.
Continue the sentence.
No, competitively at least. Ah, damn it. Okay, okay, you got me. You got me. No naval combat in multiplayer. I never even considered that. That would have been awesome.
Well, that's the whole point of the pirate game that they're never going to finish. Is its multiplayer naval
Oh,
combat.
yeah, I forgot. Duh. That's so funny. Yeah,
Um,
that would have been sweet
because
in
people wanted
Assassin's Creed as
multiplayer
well.
pirate combat.
Right.
Yeah, I can kind of understand why they didn't because if I had to guess, they probably tried it out a tiny bit. But I imagine doing the open wave, open sea pirate ship combat in multiplayer is a huge undertaking, and they probably could not do it in the time they were given to finish this game. Which props on them for just not including it and instead of trying to force it. But yeah, again, it's like I honestly feel like the multiplayer in this game was a bit tacked on because I don't think they added anything new in terms of the game, like in terms of
In terms of
gameplay,
multiplayer. Let's be
multiplayer
honest, Jaden.
modes.
Multiplayer in Assassin's Creed is always tacked on, but if you play it, it's not bad. It was a fun game
No, it's
mode,
fun. They just didn't
and
add anything. They just
playing it
didn't
with
add
friends
anything
was
new.
even more fun.
That's correct. It's actually still on my maybe one day I'll do it list of things to do.
You still can.
To
Me and Kyle did not that long ago.
Well, no, I was gonna say it's actually still on my list of maybe I'll do this to complete Assassin's Creed 4, get the platinum trophy. And there are online trophies that I have to do. I would have to do, which is probably what I would do first because I mean, this was back when I was actually playing it. I actually lost my save file for the game, which is what has prevented me from doing it because while it's fun, it's pretty lengthy if you want to like getting all the single player trophies and completing it. Because like I never did the 4 legendary ships. I did I think 2 of them, but I never had finished that. I didn't fully upgrade the Jackdaw, so I'd have to restart that from the beginning. But I would have to play online, and you have to. There are, I think, like 4 trophies online you have to do, but the last one you'll probably unlock is you have to get to level 55. But like you said, Assassin's Creed multiplayer is fun. I don't think that it would be a. I mean, it would be a grind, but I don't think it would be a not fun grind to do that. Anyway, Noah, now we're getting into collectibles. No, the game has basically 3 collectibles. One, animus fragments. They're small sort of glitches in the animus. They accomplish nothing. I actually did a bunch of research on this to see, like, is there any
Boo
point to
these.
collecting these? There's none. What?
I said boo these. These suck.
Yeah. I mean, there's literally nothing. Like, they don't unlock cheats. As far as I can tell, they don't unlock anything. I looked it up and tried to find something of, hey, what do these do anything? Nothing that I could find. Then also chests, classic Assassin's Creed collectible. They contain money and sometimes items. You don't have to open every chest to get the platinum in this game, which actually is an achievement in some other Assassin's Creed games. But there are some you have to because they actually contain like recipes for crafting, basically for jacked upgrades and stuff. You do have to find some of these. And last but not least, one of the best collectibles in gaming history, shanties.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So first I must say these are it's a typical Assassin's Creed thing. They're a blow away in the wind collectible, which is annoying, honestly. I don't like these collectibles where it's kind of floating in midair, you run towards it, and once you get a certain distance away, it'll blow away in a direction. Of course, they plan ahead. It blows away from you dependent on the direction you're coming from. So you can't like trick it to blow directly into your face. They thought ahead. So you have to chase after it and get it, which is annoying. And sometimes, and after a while, it'll just blow away and you got to collect it. You got to just come back later to collect it, which is stupid. I don't like those. But collecting these shanties, these pages, adds that shanty to your song collection. So it's then added to the rotation of shanties sung by the crew. Now, to everyone out there who's mad that we did not talk about this yet, because you thought we forgot, we didn't forget. While you're sailing the open seas of the Caribbean islands, you can have your crew sing songs like true pirates on the open sea. There are a lot of shanties in this game, and these shanties make Assassin's Creed 4 one of the best gaming soundtracks of all time because they're awesome.
I mean, sea
Noah.
shanties are one of the best parts of this game. I've looked up and listened to them, on music platforms before.
Oh, 1,000,000% I've done that, yeah.
Yeah, they're just really, really good
Yeah,
collectibles.
I mean, they're very well performed. Surprisingly, you wouldn't know, but I guess one of the requirements of being a pirate is being a good singer because they're very well performed.
I mean, all you do is you're just chilling on the boat while you're sailing for a month. So yeah, let's just sing a bit.
It's awesome. I love the shanties. Absolutely have gone back and listened to shanties many times before. I mean, they were like, it legitimately is the one thing that makes me not like ship combat because if you are wanted by a certain country or whatever, they'll attack you on sight. And when the combat starts, the shanty stops, and I don't like that. Anyway, guys, that's the game. That's most of the game. We're now going to move on to our notable trophies. We actually already talked about trophies a bit in this game. The list honestly is very standard. I feel like for Assassin's Creed for this, you don't have to 100% complete everything, which is a big plus compared to Assassin's Creed 3. You have to 100% all of the main story missions, which I remember this was the first Assassin's Creed game where I did not struggle with that. I actually felt like this game was the easiest I had played to like for completing those extra story stuff.
The bonus missions.
Yeah, like the full synchronization mission stuff. Yeah. Anyway, my one notable trophy, just because this is, I feel like, in my experience, a more unique feature, but also annoying. Sharing is caring. Share each type of discovery with your friends once. So there are three kind of social discoveries in this game. It's like a royal convoy, which is a convoy of ships, white whales, I believe, which you can hunt and kill white whales. Suck it, Moby Dick. And I think just like certain chests. And this trophy is kind of annoying because I think these things do have like specific places they spawn, so you can kind of get it easier than it seems. But just playing through the game randomly, I never got this trophy, and it's kind of annoying. Like I think I got the convoy and the whale, but I never got a chest. But it's just kind of an annoying extra thing that I don't like. Like again, it's kind of a unique concept. I've never seen something like this before, but also I think it's dumb and shouldn't exist.
Well, we can't say you don't have opinions.
We can't say that. Noah, you don't care about trophies, so let's move on to our questions. Favorite moments?
My favorite moments were all the times Blackbeard was there
I was
fighting
gonna say,
along like yeah, so fighting alongside him. I thought was so funny. When the game came out, I thought he was gonna be a rival and we were gonna kill him. And they ended up just making him a really awesome character. He was your buddy, and he ends up sacrificing himself.
yeah, and I mean his death scene is so incredibly
He was
emotional, and
awesome.
like, yeah, and it's like he retires, and also, I mean, you think of like Blackbeard as his legend goes. I mean, first off, his death was, I feel like, very true because when he died, he was like shot like 6 times and like stabbed like 5 times. Like it took a lot for him to go down, which is true in this game. But he's also just such a compared to the legends of Blackbeard, he's just such a normal dude. Like one, his real name is Edward Teach, and like Edward Kenway literally just calls him Teach. Like that's all. Like that's just all he calls him by when they talk and stuff. And like it said in the game, like he retires. He reaches a point where he's like, I'm just done with this. I feel like he's actually such like a mild mannered, cool dude, and
Yeah, he was very cool, very likable character.
I feel like Assassin's Creed obviously always introduces kind of historical figures in their games, which is one of my favorite things about the series. And I think Blackbeard is one of the best kind of historical figures they've brought forth and had portrayed. I think he was one very well performed and just such a cool character.
What's your favorite moment?
I remember is the James Kidd revealed as a woman because obviously when you meet James Kidd, he's a slightly effeminate looking boy, and honestly, I found his character a bit annoying at first, but I don't know, it was fun. He was a fun guy, and then the reveal absolutely blew me away. I loved it. I thought, I thought it was a very cool reveal. Like any time that her and Edward were interacting, kind of like with Blackbeard, just it was always just fun to see the two interact.
It was a very cool reveal.
Yeah. Like she
I
takes
didn't
off
expect
her,
anything like
yeah,
that.
she kind of like cuts her like thumb and spreads the blood on her lips to look like lipstick and like undoes her hair as Edward's just like talking. And then he looks over at her and he's just like, "What?" Just yeah, that one scene is just such a cool scene to me. Anyway, Noah, what you did not like about the game.
For me, it was a little too big. I mean, it takes a lot of time to sail from one location to the other, especially if you're going from like
Yep.
one side of the map to even the half, like the middle. It takes a
Yep.
very long
Also,
time.
completely forgot to mention this. Viewpoints exist in this game. Viewpoints, classic Assassin's Creed thing. Climb to a high area, scout the area. It reveals stuff on the
Waypoints?
map. Viewpoints. They're called viewpoints in Assassin's Creed, Noah. Those do actually act as fast travel points in this game, so that does make getting around easier. But I do agree with you, the game is very big, which again is one of the reasons that I have not gone back and played it like I want to, because yeah, it's just I'm like, oh man, it's gonna take such a long like it's such a big game. It gives me pause. Anyway, mine, as I said earlier, chasing shanties, the blow away in the wind collectibles. I don't know what the official term for those is. I know Assassin's Creed is not the first game to do it. I know Crackdown did it before Assassin's Creed, probably. I don't know what year Crackdown came out, but they're incredibly annoying. They're not difficult. Like it never took me more than 2 tries to get one, but it's just annoying because with how, and this is a classic Assassin's Creed problem, where when you're running and trying to parkour, sometimes, the game can get a little wonky and misdetect and think you're like trying to climb this wall instead of that wall, or it won't like an interaction when, say, jumping across a gap or something like that just kind of goes weird. And I feel like anytime I would fail to get a shanty, it's more because of the game being wonky than me actually just screwing up a jump or something.
100% of the time, that's my problem with them.
Yeah.
The parkour in this game is not as good, so it's hard to catch things like that.
Yeah, like it's just a little wonky. And when just normally playing through the game, it's not typically an issue, but when you make a collectible specifically around that is when you can kind of start to notice it more and it can really start kind of getting on your nerves. Anyway, replayability. I feel like kind of mentioned that already. Like I would love to play this game again because the pirating, it is the best pirate game of all time. I just it's just a little too big to be, I feel like, as replayable as like say Assassin's Creed 2, because I have gone back and replayed Assassin's Creed 2 multiple times. It's an intimidating one.
I would call it a beat and delete.
I get you. I understand that. Anyway, DLC. I completely forgot about this. There's
I
multiplayer
would kind of
DLC. Who
count this as
cares?
a spin-off game at this point.
I'm not gonna read this whole plot description because I feel like I don't know. Maybe we'll do an indie bit about this because, like you said, it is kind of its own separate game now. So we will just very quickly talk about the DLC Freedom Cry, Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. You play as completely, I'll be honest, I feel like a crime how ignored he was in the plot description of the game. But Edward's first mate, Edward early on in the game gets captured and escaped. Like when he gets the jackdaw, he gets captured, is on a boat. He escapes the boat with a bunch of other kind of slaves captured, and they escape on the jackdaw. Among those people, a friend he makes in that mission becomes his first mate, Adewale, One of my favorite Assassin's Creed characters of all time. I absolutely love Adewale.
I can't believe we've never even
Um,
mentioned him before this.
I know I'm honestly mad at us for not talking about Adewale. He is an awesome Assassin's Creed character. He is an escaped slave. He actually returns in another Assassin's Creed game that we'll talk about on a different day. But Freedom Cry is all about him in the West Indies, where he is now the captain of his own ship. He actually joined the assassins, and he felt like there was more it was a nobler cause than just pirating with Kenway. So he actually joined the assassins, became a lifelong assassin, and in this he is both freeing slaves and ridding Templar influence in the West Indies. It's a great little story. I actually got all the trophies and fully completed this DLC. Adewale is such an awesome character. It is something that gives you his sort of unique weapon is a machete, which is awesome. It's a fun little DLC. Like if you want to experience Assassin's Creed 4, because there are ship battles, and there are like slave ships that you can take down and free the slaves. If you want to experience Assassin's Creed 4 and the ship battles and everything and do it all in like a 15-hour game experience, play Freedom Cry. It is an absolutely brilliant DLC. Noah?
It's an amazing DLC. It might be the best that Assassin's Creed ever had.
I wouldn't even say might. I would say it is.
It is.
Yeah.
I really like Tyranny of King Washington, even though I never played it myself.
Oh,
Um,
actually, that was a very. I did actually play it. I absolutely will agree that the Tyranny of King Washington is very fun. I would still say I think I like Freedom Cry better.
yeah, Adewale is just an amazing character, and the entire time I was playing Assassin's Creed 4, I thought it should have been about him, but they were limited by the fact that the character had to be Desmond's ancestor, and I think that's probably why they got rid of that in the later games.
Yeah, I get you. Makes sense. Anyway, Noah, what are your final thoughts on Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag?
Assassin's Creed 4 is in my top three Assassin's Creeds of all time. As of right now, as it stands, I would probably say that in no particular order, Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed 2, and Odyssey are my favorite.
I will say, I mean, this just is my favorite. As we have hammered throughout this episode, it is one of the best Assassin's Creeds of all time. It is one of the best pirate games of all time. Certainly the best that I've played. I feel like there's anything else I have to add. So that is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, Noah, it is time for the indie bit, the bit where we talk about indie games.
Yay!
Today, Noah, we are talking about Dodgeball Academia. So,
Yay!
Dodgeball Academia, let me tell you, I discovered this game by, as I've picked most of my recent indie bits, just flipping through the PS Pass, looking for something. Both the name and the cover art really caught my eye and interested me. So, talk about Dodgeball Academia. You play as Otto, a young boy who was accepted into Dodgeball Academia, one of the world's premier dodgeball academies. And as Otto, you join, you make a team, and you compete in the school's dodgeball tournament to hopefully save the school. That's all the plot I'm going to give you. The gameplay. So how the game works, it's basically kind of it's a JRPG basically. So you have it's like a 16-bit, 8-bit environment. You run around the school campus. It is kind of like openly explorable, but it is a small map. You run around and talk to people. You get side quests, do the main missions, and of course you partake in your main combat, dodgeball. When you're in a dodgeball game, you can jump, you can dodge, you can catch, you can throw, and there are different types of throws. You unlock what is the word, charge energy throughout the fight, and once you've maxed out your meter, you can use your ultimate move, which is a very strong attack. Yeah, that's dodgeball. I will say I think the game borrows a lot from Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon vibes as I'm playing this game, as you will walk in front of people and they will challenge you to a dodgeball match.
I've seen a lot of parallels with a lot of other games.
Yeah, I don't know. Pokemon is the big one that I keep seeing. Like I keep seeing brought up. Even some of the music is, I think, very similar to Pokemon. Like it was actually funny. I was playing the game with Haley, just sitting next to me, and like at one point she just kind of glanced up at the screen and she was like, just like, "What are you playing?" I was like, "Well, it's this dodgeball game, but and like the music was playing. I was like, man, that music sounds very Pokemon though. She was like, I was gonna say your character looks like Ash Ketchum, which he doesn't. I don't know where she got that from, but
I think,
uh,
I've been recording it, and I think I did actually say he looks like Ash Ketchum.
that's fine. I don't see it, but it's just so. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, it just gives me very strong Pokemon vibes as I'm playing through it. I guess especially with how kind of the overworld map works and stuff. Anyway, Noah, did you like Dodgeball Academia, or do you like it if you're still currently playing it?
I am still currently playing it. It is taking a while. It's like I said, shockingly long. Um, I actually really enjoy it. I was playing two games for the YouTube channel, and the other one was Greedfall. Okay, so I was switching back and forth between Greedfall and Dodgeball Academia. And then Mortal Kombat 1 came out and I stopped playing both. But anyway, right now I'm doing like Mortal Kombat 1 stuff and still playing Dodgeball Academia because I think it's so fun. Uh, but I dropped Greedfall. So I'll play that when I finish Dodgeball Academia probably, or this next indie bit. But I think the story, I've been following it along. I think it's written very well. It's just funny. It's, clever and quirky. Like the part where his dad's in the computer, Jaden, the robot.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I thought that was so funny. What else? The characters, the story. Oh, the gameplay, the dodgeball gameplay is so fun. I mean, you have a lot of different things going on. Different characters have different dodges, different speeds, different throw types. There's a normal throw and a hard throw. There's a ultimate move. Each character has their own charge power up. Some can heal, some can add damage. You can pass to your teammates. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff going on in this game. It
Yeah,
is
it's got like
a
that
surprisingly deep game.
what's that thing that like oh yeah, borrowing from Dragon Ball Z, there's the focus where you basically charge up your attack like a Super Saiyan.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, and that's I mean, let me tell you, I'm sure that's where they took it from. But you like it, I'm glad. No?
Oh yeah, I really like it. The point I'm at is Boris was in detention, Chester was behind it, and I played against Chester in the tournament, and I'm pretty sure now I have to go back into the forest. I can't remember.
Gotcha.
There's so many
I
quests.
yeah, I also actually really enjoy this game. I actually find it a little difficult at times.
Yes, it can be hard.
Either it's hard or I'm just bad at it. Um, the dodgeballing, I have to run back and heal a lot because there is a Pokemon, I mean a medical center where you can just instantly heal your party up. No, I agree with you. I think it's an incredibly fun. Uh, I think it's a fun game. Like I'm gonna finish it. I have not yet, but I will finish it because it is very fun. I agree with you. The story is, it's one of those kind of, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, hey, dodgeball is the center of the world here.
I mean, the kids at
Yeah,
this
kind of,
dodgeball school have powers.
yeah, it's one of those kind of ridiculous, crazy, like anime stories, and it is very funny. A lot of, topical humor in my opinion, and like it's fun, like doing all the side quests and stuff that I've been doing. Like, it is fun talking to people, doing the random dodgeball matches. I mean, yeah, it's a fun game. I like it. I I look forward to continuing it. Yeah, absolutely. I would recommend it.
All
Anyway,
right, so that's Dodgeball Academia.
that is Dodgeball Academia. Noah, what is the next indie bit game?
Well, I used the Jaden tried and true method of picking a random game off the PS Pass.
I mean, you say that, but it's like 90% successful.
Well, maybe the games on the PS Pass are just good, Jaden.
I guess that's it.
Oh, but the next game is Call of the Sea.
Call of the Sea. Do you know anything about it?
Well, I did look it up and it is about 8 hours.
Okay, okay.
The I think it's a story-based game. It had pretty solid reviews, and I think it has puzzles.
Oh, I do like puzzles.
Yes, puzzles that aren't supposed to be too tricky, so they say.
Oh, good. That's my favorite kind of puzzle.
I know.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll play that. Call of the
All
Sea.
right.
Interesting. That is another successful indie bit. Go us. We rule.
Woo.
Anyway, hey guys, don't forget new episodes every other Monday. Rate and subscribe. Tell us if you like our show. Tell us if you don't. Tell us why. Tell your friends and enemies about the podcast. And you can follow our Instagram, the Super Gamer Bros, for updates on episodes, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros. That is one word, capital S, capital G, capital B, period at the end, where Noah uploads videos every day. Finally, recently finished Sekiro. That was a very long one in the making.
And Mortal
It
Kombat
did
1.
come out. Yeah, and Noah just played through all of Mortal Kombat 1. So if you want to experience the story of Mortal Kombat 1, but don't want to play it yourself, go watch that.
Or any of the
Um,
tower endings.
or any of the tower endings. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening, and we will see you guys next game.
Bye.